53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Testing, 1, 2,
53
testing.
national championships.
Good there?
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
Just underway here at Choctaw Trails here in Clinton, Mississippi, the 2021 Gulf South Conference Cross Country Championships. Hello, alongside Chris Weber. I'm Noah Frary, looking forward to a great race in this one. Just underway. We'll get to the trail cam in just a few moments. But Chris, a lot of big storylines in this race so far. We see ourselves out in front of the pack right now. A lot of big storylines, though, Chris. Lee, can they become the 5-time defending champions in this race? And you look at their top runner, Celine Ritter. She has been dominating in every race that she's been in all year.
Right, yeah. On the individual side of things, Celine Ritter is definitely the favorite. As a matter of fact, she's literally never lost a conference championship race, and that's from everything from 800 meters to 10,000 meters and cross country. And I'll tell you one thing, if you line an 800-meter runner-up and a 10,000-meter runner-up beside each other, they're going to look like completely different types of runners. So that's crazy, the range that she has. But
I was blown away earlier this year. She ran in the 16s. That's sometimes you'll see that as a guy's time in high school, but a very talented runner at that. And we're starting to see some of the spectators make their way over to that 1-mile marker. We'll go around the lake a couple of times, or around down the path and back up. We'll do that a couple of times, the 5K race for the girls in this one.
Right, yeah. So I think kind of what me and you were talking about earlier, what goes in the mind of a cross-country runner early on in the race. And I think the biggest thing, like I said, this is cross-country, probably exact opposite of a sport like football or basketball in the sense that, let's say in a sport like football, like you're in like the little pre-hype tent and everyone's just getting hype, everyone's getting loud. Everyone wants to come out hot. Exact opposite in cross country. You don't want to necessarily come out like jogging or running slow, but really the main thing is you just want to be relaxed, because especially in a sport such as distance running, the mind is a powerful thing. And if you just kind of mentally exhaust yourself that early in the race, your mind can affect how you feel physically. So, yeah, it's just making it to the checkpoint, and then that's when we're going to start seeing some moves made, and that's when we're really going to start, thinking and hearing instruction from their coach.
You oftentimes you see at the beginning of these races where there's a large pack.
Right.
But I think one thing that you and me were talking about as we got set for this broadcast is when would that pack break apart, and would someone like Celine Ritter try to get right out in front very quickly? We're starting to see that pack break out a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like we're stringing out pretty early. I can't really tell who that is. I would imagine it's Celine, but yeah, they'll be coming through the 1K marker here shortly. That's about where that camera is right there, where you see on your screen now. But
now, you've run this race before. You've run on this course, and as you told me, it's a slightly different layout out here than it's been, but a very challenging course. But if you're Mississippi College or some of these other teams, they've run here even as recently as a couple of weeks ago. That has to help going into a race like this.
Right, yeah. So let's actually see who this is right here. That's Celine Ritter. That's Celine's teammate, Tony Moore, and that's MC's Jasmine Hernandez going for it in the front. So not sure what their split is on that. But, yeah, so for those of you who don't know who Celine Ritter is, it's that one up front. And I would imagine, is probably going to stay that way the whole entire race. Like I said, she's kind of a favorite to win nationals this year. So
you mentioned Jasmine Hernandez, the two-time GSC first team. And, cross country is a bit differently. Those first and second teams, it's whoever comes in the top 20.
right.
She's one of those runners that we're expecting a lot out of today, pushing Ritter here early on. Looks like we see Johanna Wistakat running closely behind in fourth as we pass that first marker. Out to a good start, though, Lee University, a couple of runners in that front pack. And that's important because, as we talked about, if you're new to the sport of cross country, Chris, go ahead and explain to us a little bit just how the scoring works and ultimately how they determine a champion in a race like today.
Right. So the scoring is simple. Basically, you just take the tally of the top 5 runners from each team at the finish. So let's say you get first place, that's 1 point going toward your team. If you get second, that's 2 points going towards your team. And lowest score wins. And that's kind of why you see a lot of pack running here today, because also another nice tactic in cross country, the lower your 1 through 5 split is, then the better chance you have of scoring a lower score than other teams.
Now, most teams, and you're not required, but a lot of these teams, especially the top teams, the Lees, the Mississippi Colleges, you'll see approximately 10 runners in the field, but only the top 5 are going to count for scoring, correct?
Right. Yep, that's right. And yeah, so your 6th and 7th runner will also they will score. They won't go as far as the total team score, but let's say someone's 6th runner finishes ahead of someone else's 4th or 5th. That'll make their score go up higher. So that's the responsibility that the 6th and 7th runners have on their teams as well.
Certainly a lot playing into this. We see Celine Ritter still out in front of the pack as we've completed our first mile in this race. And Chris, we're right in the middle of where the fans and the coaches are running before.
This atmosphere is electric. I'm loving what I'm hearing.
A lot of fun to see the fans out here today. Starting to string out a little bit, but you see Redder up front and her teammate close behind. But then you see a pack of Lee runners there. So Lee has put 5 runners in the front of this pack currently. And as we were just talking about, that really helps for scoring-wise.
Right, yeah. Like I said, Celine Ritter, having her on Lee's team obviously helps out a lot, but Lee's women's teams, it's also a powerhouse. It's not like Celine's just carrying the program on her shoulders. As a matter of fact, if you take all the 5K times run this season, Lee has 6 in the top 11. So that's just how dominating they are. And there's Mississippi College's pack also.
And we've
right
talked
there.
about it with Lee. They are coming into this trying to become the first team to 5-peat.
Right.
And that takes a sustained level of dominance to be able to do that. But, again, don't get me wrong, there's some very talented teams in this race. And a lot of these teams, you'll see that really top runner. But it's hard to have 5 quality runners, something that
Right.
Lee's been able to do. But really, really packed up right now. You've seen some of the breakaways start to happen. Just a beautiful day out here at Choctaw Trails. A lot of energy on this course. The runners making their way back up towards the finish line. And we've got our first mile split. Celine Ritter out in front by 2 seconds, leading Jasmine Hernandez. Tony Moore in 3rd place.
Yeah, so this is actually the 2K split, and so they have 3 kilometers to go. And, yeah, like we said, usually it's not really strung out this early in a championship event, but I guess Coach Kayla Morgan, which is Celine Ritter's coach, I guess they decided to kind of go after today, and that's just what they're going to do. So, yeah, it's strung out really early. Yeah, we have Celine Ritter at 6:39, Jasmine Hernandez in 2nd, currently 6:41, and Ritter's teammate, Tony Moore, they're trying to go 1-2 today at 6:45.
Mississippi College in 2nd team-wise. Lee leading the pack right now. Jasmine Hernandez in that 2nd spot, leading Mississippi College up the leaderboard. Alabama Huntsville currently in 3rd, and Montevallo in 4th at the 2K split. 5K in this women's race. We'll run 8K a little bit later on today, 3.1 miles. So about a third of the way, a little over a third of the way into this race. You've seen some of the runners start to fall behind, but ultimately it's been Celine Ritter who's out in front, that 6:39 split after 2 kilometers. And as we've mentioned, well on pace to perhaps hit some of those really good times that she's had this year, down in those low 16s, mid-16s.
Right.
And that's certainly where she'd like to be today.
Right, yeah, she's running right under 16:40 pace right now at 2K. And also talking about how the scoring work in cross country, how a top 5 is what counts for the score. And Lee, right now, at the 2K split, literally has 5 in the top 7. So, yeah, they decided to go after today, and we'll see if it pays off for them in the finish line.
And that's what you and me talked about, and you see some of the guys starting to warm up. Their race is going to take place after the women's race, but that's what we talked about is when you get into a conference race, you never know what's going to happen, and you'll see some of these teams make those moves earlier than you would see them during the regular season.
Right, and like I said, sometimes that may not be the best choice, but like I said, a team like Lee, I would imagine that it's probably going to stay that way. I know it's still early on at the 2K split, so sometimes 2K, especially in the 8K, the 2K team scores really don't matter as much as the finish, obviously. But, yeah, like I said, they have a strategy, and they're going to stick to it.
Lee University, they came into this ranked 5th in the nation. A very talented team led by Caleb Morgan, their assistant coach Derek Flatford. But a lot of talented runners in this race. You see Amber Fisher for Montevallo. She's been very good in her career, a first-team honor, second-team honor a season ago. A lot of talented runners in this field. Fisher currently just outside of that second team at 23rd on that 2K split. Still awaiting our next split here, but some good running early on. We see some runners out in front of the pack.
Yeah, we're trying to look at the camera. I can tell by the uniform that's Celine. Yeah, there's Celine in a little bit clearer of a shot right there. We see some fans from Mississippi College here at Paint Out today on their home course.
10 minutes and 20 seconds into this race. You'll see some of the, the top finishers are obviously going to be, low 17s, maybe high 16s right in there, but then you'll kind of see it, spread out from there all the way down to those high 20s by the time you get to the bottom of some of these teams. But Celine Ritter pacing the pack, and it looks like Lee, their second runner, Tony Moore, has pulled into second place just in front of Jasmine Hernandez. But you've got to be impressed. They're all running extremely well right now. Christian Brothers runner closely behind in fourth.
Yeah, it seems like all the runners to watch are the ones that are in the front right now. And, yeah, we can't forget, obviously Celine Ritter can kind of steal the show sometimes. She's literally the NCAA Division II record holder in the indoor 3K, so you can't really overlook that. But Tony Moore, she's also quite the runner herself. She literally, just this past outdoor season, she went to D2 Nationals in the 3K steeplechase, also a sub-5 miler, and she's broken 17 in the 5K. So, yeah, like I said, projected to go 1 and 2 today. Jasmine Hernandez of Mississippi College trying to stick with her.
And it was Jasmine Hernandez, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but she finished third in that race last year. Ritter was obviously first, but Hernandez has been a very talented runner for Mississippi College. You yourself a runner for Mississippi College, a very talented cross-country squad.
Yeah. So Jasmine Hernandez finished 5th at last year's cross-country. I think she's number 4 returner. Sorry, trying to see and look what the team scores are looking at, just trying to eyeball it from the camera. Obviously Lee's just dominating up front. It looks like they still have 5 to 7 runners in the top 10.
Ashley Iliff on the screen right there, and for Mississippi College, another runner coming past Union, a runner up towards the top of the pack. That's Abigail Bergquist, the second-team All-Gulf South Conference first-team honoree. UWF putting a runner up top. Lee University, another runner.
And I tell you what, you can tell Celine Ritter's leading this race, making it fast. The hurt that she's putting on some of these runners. Yeah, like I said, she decided that today was going to be a true 5K. no tactical running. She was going to go for it. And if anyone wants the individual or team title, they're going to have to come get it from her.
And you mentioned, too, there's, these runners, they're going to get a couple weeks break after this. So you can afford to put it kind of all on the line out here today. And as you said, calling it a true 5K, just bust your butt from the start of this race.
Yeah, so I can't really see the lead camera right now, but they're coming up. They're about to be about 1K to go. And the spot they're running at right now, it's about a 400-meter hill until they get to the 1K to go spot. So that's kind of the move where, all right, like if you want to win the conference title as a team, this is going to be where you need to make your move today. So, like I said, it looks like Lee's up front in the team race. So that's going to be the spot where, like I said, at MC, their home course and every single blade of grass. So this is kind of going to be their deciding moment at that 400-meter hill right there. They're going to be like, all right, we either got to go get them or Lee's going to have to hold them off.
Myra Tubb for West Florida on your screen right there, making her way towards the finish line. Anna Clark for Delta State. West Georgia, Adela Belovova running through. A lot of good running here early on, but it was Lee. They jumped all over this pack early on. They really split it up, and the pace that was set early on, you've really seen it spread out this pack. And as you so eloquently put it, they've put a hurting on this field and really have spread out this race very quickly.
Right. No, they sure did. And yeah, talk about tactical running. Sometimes those tactical situations, that's when an upset team like MC or UAH, that's when they could potentially kind of take the team title from Lee. And Lee just decided that they weren't going to have any of that today, and they were just going to go for it. And if they wanted the team title, if anyone else wanted the team title, then they were going to have to come get it from them.
Lee University, they placed runners 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th at that 2K split today, led by Celine Ritter, just under 640. Mississippi College was 2nd with runners in 2nd. That was Hernandez at the time, 11th, 12th, 15th, and 16th, followed by Alabama Huntsville. So those teams up top were just, probably a minute and a half away from crowning a champion here today. Maybe a little over a minute and a half as we start to wind down this women's race. Running across the screen right there is Sydney Roberts, the senior out of Ingomar, Mississippi. Her teammate following closely behind, Bailey Pounds. And there comes Celine Ritter trying to do what no other woman has done before.
So she's about half a mile to go right there. So
trying to become the three-time defending Gulf South Conference women's champion and trying to pull her Lee squad to a 5th consecutive championship. That's crazy to think about.
It really is. Yeah, and by the looks of things, it looks like they're going to do it today. And same with Celine Ritter, how she's never lost a conference title. From the looks of things, as we see it right now, looks like that streak's going to continue today. There's Jasmine Hernandez and Johanna Wistakat battling out for the bronze medal position.
A lot of talent out here in this race. Number 34 running the 34 bib, running across the screen. That's Jody Schuster, the sophomore out of Collierville, Tennessee, running for Christian Brothers today. 15:56 into this race. A phenomenal race. Lee jumping all over the
team
pack.
Race right there.
4 Lee runners.
I mean, yeah, that's Lee's 5th. That's right there. That is phenomenal. Lee's 6th, actually, because they had Tony and Celine up there. And like I said, by the looks of things, with 600 meters to go, about a lap and a half on outdoor track, looks like Lee's going to pull it off today. What phenomenal team running from them.
Mississippi College and Alabama Huntsville, the battle probably now becoming for 2nd place. And that's where it becomes so important for maybe those 4th and 5th runners to run really well in these last 600 meters, last 1,000 meters, in order to give yourself a chance at a high finish and then ultimately being able to advance on to those NCAA regionals that are coming up.
Right, yeah. Yeah, a lot of mistakes that runners can make sometimes is the last little bit. They're like, all right, 4 to go, it's over. And yeah, I've seen a lot of results change from the last 400 meters of a race like that.
Working our way up towards the finish line in this one. Celine Ritter has finished in first, a 16:51.07 time today. Celine Ritter has become the 3-time defending Gulf South Conference champion. We await the runners behind. Tony Moore will finish in 2nd place, about 23 seconds behind her teammate. Lee University has gone 1 and 2, all but securing them their 5th conference championship.
Those are some fast times right there, too. If I'm not mistaken, Celine Ritter actually literally just ran the course record for the 5K on the women's side, 16:51. That is moving.
That race for 2nd place that we were keeping our eye on, Johanna Wistakat for Christian Brothers will come in 3rd. Jasmine Hernandez improves on her time in her finish from last year, finishing in 4th at 17:35. 4 runners across the finish line, 2 for Lee, 1 for Christian Brothers, and 1 for Mississippi College at this point, as we see more runners start to cross that finish line.
Yeah, and I think that was literally Lee's top 5 that just finished. The results are coming in right now.
You are correct. Lee has placed 5 inside the top 7. They are now your 5-time defending Gulf South Conference champions. Josie Whipp placing 8 for Mississippi College. 2 runners inside the top 10, putting themselves on pace to pick up that 2nd place finish. Madeline Campbell for Mississippi College in at 12th at 18:12. And really now the battle becomes who places a couple of more runners high up here. Lee has secured the championship in this one. Mississippi College, they've placed runners at 4, 8, and 12. Alabama Huntsville, 10 and 15. So really, it's going to come down to those 3, 4, 5 runners for some of these squads, trying to see who ultimately comes away victorious. West Florida's Alyssa Granberg crossing the finish line right there.
And like I said, this just shows you that Lee is number 5 in the nation, and they deserve to be number 5 in the nation. I mean, these times are just
Alabama, Huntsville, and Mississippi College going back and forth right now. Huntsville had 2 runners at 17-18. Huntsville is finished now at 20. And Mississippi College, they had a runner come in at 21st. It is Mississippi College that's going to pull off the second-place finish in this one. Alabama, Huntsville is going to finish a close third, very tightly packed at the top of this pack. Valdosta State, Union, and Montevallo, each with 2 runners in, very tightly tied together. Now 3 runners across 4. Union looking in solid position to pick up the 4th-place finish here today. All going to come down to that 5th runner.
right. As you can see on the camera, that finish is actually uphill, and as you can see from some of the pain the runners are showing on their faces, I mean, that is a brutal finishing uphill after already running 3 miles.
Lee University, the champions, they have now seen all 10 of their runners finish. And this is where it gets crazy, Chris. They finished 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 11. They put 7 inside the top 11 here today, just running away from the field. Celine Ritter setting the course record out here today. And we've still got more cross-country to go later on.
Crazy.
And there's another Lee runner in that men's race that has the chance to make some history. Christian Noble trying to become the 4-time consecutive champion here in the Gulf South Conference. But a great women's race as we still see runners coming across the finish line. Union, they've picked up their 5th runner. They're going to come in 4th in this one. Montevallo dropping to 5. West Florida, a good showing for them, jumping up into the 6th spot. Auburn Montgomery sitting in 7th. Valdosta, Christian Brothers, and West Georgia each waiting for their 4th and 5th runners to come across the finish line, but nearly complete in this one. A lot of runners have already come across the finish line. A very good race. It was Lee that jumped right out in front of everyone, but give Mississippi College a lot of credit. Jasmine Hernandez was running right with Celine Ritter for a long time, and then that late kick.
Right, and it paid off. I mean, she had a PR. As a matter of fact, I'm looking, it looks like almost every single runner out here today PR'd. And, yeah, like I said, the Gulf South Conference, it was not a slow race day. It just shows you how strong the Lee women's program is.
Anna Clark for Delta State, the lone finisher for the Statesmen so far, finishing 64th. Christian Brothers still awaiting that 5th runner to come in. Johanna Wistakat finishing 3rd in this race, a 17:27 time. Valdosta State, their leading finisher. Angela Cipriani, the 2nd team honoree a year ago at 18:36. She'll be inside that 2nd team again. Mississippi College, they're going to place a couple of teams in, or a couple of runners inside that top 24 to be exact. Jasmine Hernandez, Josie Whipp, Madeline Campbell, and Emily Berry all placing inside that top 20. They'll all earn all Gulf South Conference honors today.
Yeah, and like speaking of Mississippi College, 5 around in the top 20, their 5th. Norma Gutierrez was their 5th runner, placing at 22nd today. In any other championship race, that's actually a really good performance. It's just, yeah, like we've been talking about, putting 5 in the top 7 is pretty dang hard to beat.
Almost impossible,
Yeah.
I would dare say. Still waiting for some runners to come across the finish line. We've had our top 5 come through for most teams so far. Delta State still awaiting 3 more runners to come through. They're currently in 11th. The battle at 11th, 12th, and 13th. Shorter has had 1 runner come across, currently sitting in 13th. It was April Jacobson at 81st. Over 80 runners have come through the finish line at this point for these 13 squads out here today. 87 to be exact. Jordan Hopkins just crossing the finish line for West Alabama. A cool 25:57. And Chris, I'm not a runner, so these times they look blistering. I couldn't be anywhere close to some of these times.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Celine Ritter 16:51. That was probably honestly kind of easy for her. She probably kind of shut it down in the last 1K to 2K, knowing that they have regionals and nationals coming up in the next 4 weeks or so.
Delta State, Bailey Pounds set to cross the finish line, coming up that hill, that brutal hill at the finish line. A cruel ending to this race. Delta State, another runner coming up, wearing the number 40 bib. It's Savannah Hudgens. who's making her way up that lengthy hill. Christian Brothers set to send another runner across. A good women's race so far, and as we mentioned, we've still got another one after the conclusion of this one. There's going to be about a 10 to 15 minute break between these two races, and then we'll get that men's race underway and expect to see some interesting strategies in that one as well. That one a slightly longer race at that 8K mark, approximately just under 5 miles.
Right, and after seeing what Lee's women's team did, I wonder if the men's team is going to kind of take on the same tactic and make it a true 8K and be like, all right, look, like whenever the tactics kind of come into play, that's kind of when we can get upset. So we're just going to make sure that it's a true 8K today, and if that y'all want it, y'all going to have to come and get it.
Alabama Huntsville, they've won the last couple Gulf South Conference championships, and Lee, they had won 3 before Alabama Huntsville, and so certainly they'd like to get back into that first spot on the podium and set themselves up well for regionals. That Lee team ranked 8th in the country, Alabama Huntsville jumping in at 11th, and then Mississippi College, some of your teammates out there, you know, right there. So
yeah, 3 nationally ranked programs.
Expect a really good men's race as we get set to wrap up this women's race. A couple of runners still remaining out on the course.
Yeah, we got 3 of the best teams in the nation all right here in Clinton, Mississippi this morning.
They oftentimes say it when they talk about the Gulf South Conference's football, but they call it the SEC of Division II, and really across the board, all of the sports, you see a lot of talent. Ashley Bassford for West Florida crossed at 98th, 24:39. Shorter set to push a runner across the finish line. Ginny McCracken set to cross for Shorter University. That would be their second runner across the finish line. Really a battle at the bottom for 12th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. It appears West Alabama going to come out on top at 11th. Delta State will finish 12th, and Shorter will finish in that 13th spot, but pushing a couple of runners across here late, running across the finish line there. Nia Harris as they come up that ending hill. Another Shorter runner making her way up towards the finish line. Sharia Rose Green, the junior out of Canton, Ohio. 26 minutes and 19 seconds into this one. Celine Ritter finishing this race over 10 minutes ago. She dominated from the start, that 6:39 split at the 2K marker, and just got stronger from there. Lee University picking up their 5th consecutive women's title here this morning. A beautiful day out here. The wind starting to pick up, and as that wind picks up, that heat picks up, how much will that affect the guys' race and some of those runners as the conditions start to change out here slightly?
Yeah, right. I mean, it'll definitely slow them down just a little bit. Didn't really seem to affect the girls all that much, but really with the wind, basically all that means is you don't want to lead. You know, so if it's actually really windy up there, then it might kind of be a tactical because no one's going to want to lead, so everyone's going to be kind of running behind someone, and it might be a little bit slower at the start. But once we get in the forest area over here from like the 2K to 4K, I'm sure that'll block a lot of the wind.
Alexis Sturdivant, the junior out of Birmingham, Alabama, set to cross the finish line for West Alabama, and she'll cross the finish line there. Placing 104th here today, Lacey Coach just in front of her at 103rd, 27:03. A lot of strong times out here on this course today. A lot of PRs run, just a really good course to run some PRs on, especially with the elements being the way that they are. We see the clock set to tick over the 28-minute mark. Still several runners out on the course.
I'll tell you what, that's got to get Lee excited for regionals and nationals after seeing what they just did today.
Well, it's got to get them exciting, and it's got to get some of those people that are ranked a little bit higher than them a little bit nervous, that if they have that race in them, that's a team that certainly squads are going to have to look out for.
Right, especially some of the other individual contenders out there for the D2 national title. Watching Celine Ritter do that today, I mean, like I said, that was 16:50. That's probably pretty easy for her. I'm sure she was running solo the second half. I'm sure that her coach kind of maybe told her to kind of shut it down the last 1K to 2K. Yeah, I'll be excited to see what she does over the 6K distance in the South region in 2 weeks, and then on to nationals after that.
Amy Funk, the junior out of Tifton, Georgia, making her way up to the finish line. She might be our last girls runner. There's some guys jogging in the background starting to get warmed up for that men's race. Shorter University, they'll finish 13th today. Let's recap what we have seen in this one. It was really the Celine Ritter show, and Lee University in general placing 5 runners inside that top 10. A very dominant performance for them. Lee University winning this race, becoming the 5-time defending Gulf South Conference champions. Mississippi College checking in at second. A very good race for them. Jasmine Hernandez, Josie Whipp placing inside the top 10. Alabama Huntsville closely behind in third. 1 runner inside that top 10. Union, followed by Montevallo, Valdosta State, West Florida. Christian Brothers came in 8th. Auburn Montgomery in 9th. West Georgia, West Alabama, Delta State, and Shorter has now finished off their 5 runners, placing 13th in this one. A phenomenal girls race, Chris, and we've still got a guys race to come. A lot of talent out here today.
Yeah, so, kind of like we were talking about earlier, I do kind of wonder what the tactics are going to happen, what kind of tactics are going to happen in the men's race. Like I said, I don't know if Coach Morgan's going to copy the same tactics that he did with the girls with the guys, and they're just going to go out hard, or what's going to happen. Looking at how fast the times were in the girls, I can only imagine how fast they were in the guys. And who knows, maybe we'll see another course record go down.
We will see. We're going to step away. Celine Ritter in Lee University victorious in this one. Celine Ritter becoming the 3-time defending Gulf South Conference champion. Lee winning for the 5th consecutive time. They'll advance on to regionals. We're going to step away, and when we come back, the men's race will get underway in about 20 minutes as we get set to crown our 2nd Gulf South Conference champion of the day. Make sure you stick around. Going to be an exciting men's race in just a few minutes.
'53 National Championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
Welcome back to Choctaw Trails here in Clinton, Mississippi. The men's race moments away from getting started. Let's recap on our day to this point. We got the women's race underway at about 9 a.m. They ran the 5K distance. It was Celine Ritter who came out, her third consecutive Gulf South Conference championship alongside Chris Weber. I'm Noah Frary. Celine Ritter would win that race. Lee University running away with that race, Chris. They placed 5 inside the top 10, 5-time defending champions. Now a great race from Lee in that women's race earlier today.
Yeah, right. Like I said, it was 5 in the top 7, and like we said earlier, that's basically impossible to beat. So, yeah, they couldn't have run any better. The strategy they had of just taking it out hard really paid off big time for them, and I'm sure they're excited to run regionals and nationals in the future after that display of their fitness today.
Mississippi College finished second, and closely behind them, Alabama Huntsville. But now let's turn our eyes towards this men's race, and we're expecting a very good matchup today. There's 3 teams that are ranked inside the top 25 in the country in this match. Let's take a look at some runners to watch here for this race. At the top, you can't not talk about a Gulf South Conference men's race without talking about Christian Noble. Noble trying to win this race individually for the 4th time. Caleb Eagleson for Lee. Joseph Leventree, he finished second last year. Jay Day, he was in the 4th spot. Harold LaCroix and Evan Del Rio on Mississippi College. And there's others, don't get me wrong. But those are some of the runners that we're definitely looking out for in this race that could have some good times, Chris.
Right. So, yeah, on the individual side, of course, we're looking at Christian Noble. It's kind of hard not to. He's trying to get his 3rd straight cross-country GSC title that he has been in. However, unlike Ritter, Noble hasn't won every conference race that he's been in. As a matter of fact, the last conference championship that Noble was in, which was the outdoor 5K in 2021, Noble got beat by Evan Del Rio of Mississippi College, who is actually running in this race today. As you see, he's one of the runners to watch. So although Del Rio hasn't necessarily replicated that race since, we all know that he has it in him, and he'll definitely be someone to watch out for. We also have Jay Day of Alabama Huntsville. He has the 2nd fastest AK this season next to Noble. He's a veteran who simply just never has a bad race. He just went 24-12 in the AK at his home course for 11th place at the Charger Invitational. For those of you wondering back home how fast that is, that's literally 450 per mile pace over 5 miles, and that's over cross-country terrain as well.
Let's just say this, that's a lot quicker than I can run, and I know you can run a little bit faster than me. Let's take a look at some of those champions that we've seen recently. Lee University, they had a stranglehold on it for a while, winning back in 16 through 18. But since then, it's been Alabama Huntsville and Jay Day, who we mentioned a moment ago. He's been a big part of that, why they've had so much success. And that's going to be an interesting battle today. And also, don't be shocked if Mississippi College squeaks their way in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, like I said, this is a new layout of the course. Only the 2nd year that this course has been run with this layout. So this is, for a lot of teams today, including Alabama Huntsville and Lee and Montevallo, this is the first time running their course. So like I said, MC, they know every blade of grass. They know exactly which way to make the moves. And
the gun has sounded, and we are underway, the 2021 Gulf South Conference Men's Championships. And the pack starting to make their way across the finish line. And if I was a betting man, they'd kilometer split here in just a few moments. A very tactical race early on here, Chris, between these squads. A big pack we saw at the front, and that was something we talked about in the women's race that we thought we might see, but we've definitely seen it here in the men's race.
Right, yeah, like we talked about, the wind and the heat might be kind of playing into effect. But as I'm looking at the 2K mark, from what I can see, it looks like things are stringing out a little bit. I believe it was Noble that was the one that made that move. I saw Joe Leventree, Hunter Kersgay pulling, going with him.
Christian Noble checking in at that 2-kilometer split, just under 6 minutes. Jay Day just under 6. Joseph Leventree just under 6. Those three runners separated by 22/10 of a second. Very close at the top of this race. Silas Eckenrode, the second runner for Lee. Mississippi College, you like what you're seeing out of them. They've got a couple of runners packed up, 3 straight 7, 8, 9. Gabe Poulin, Christian Bowser, and Hunter Kurz all in that top 10. So Mississippi College running a good race right now through 2 kilometers.
Right, yeah. So right now it's crazy that it's tactical, yet they're still running 24 flat 8K pace. I mean, that is moving. We're about to see some team scores come across now. And like I said, it's still early, especially in a tactical race. The 2K team scores really aren't going to matter crazy amount, but as of right now, Alabama-Huntsville just ahead of Lee. Alabama-Huntsville's 46, Lee in second, 53 points, and in third, Mississippi College at 79.
And it was Christian Noble who we expected to be out in front. He's done just that here early on. Noble, the 3-time champion, trying to do what no man has done before and become a 4-time champion in this race, the 3-time Gulf South Conference Runner of the Week this year. He's had a good year, but Jay Day is certainly going to have something to say about it in this race. Day, he won that race a couple of years ago, and it hasn't, as we were talking about with Noble, he hasn't won those 3 consecutively. There was a year that was broken, and it was Jay Day who did that.
Right, so that was actually the year that Noble had redshirted, so he was not in that race. But, hey, I mean, Jay Day, he's still a really good runner. I mean, he's gone 14:27 in the 5K, 9:08 in the 3K steeple. And like we're talking about today, back in 2019, I mean, Jay Day knows how to win a conference cross-country title. And he's running good up there today.
A lot of good running here early on. Very tactical race through 8 minutes. Working on their second mile loop. They'll make that mile loop a couple of times before ultimately finishing up towards the finish line. There's some parts of this back course. And Chris, talk me through this course a little bit. You've mentioned it's a new course, and even you've told me there's a lot of history out here, a former battle site back during the Civil War.
Right, so, yeah, fun fact about Choctaw Trails, that actually looks like Christian Noble taking the lead now. I know we can't see much, but I can tell that's Noble running up there. But, yeah, on back to Choctaw Trails, it's been around since the 70s as a cross-country running venue, but served a different purpose back in the 40s. That purpose was a prisoner of war camp during World War II, and there are actually still holding cells scattered throughout the woods that prisoners were held in, that you can just walk through the woods and see if you want to. Yeah, another fun fact, some of the prisoners constructed a Mississippi River basin model used by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to help predict floods along the Mississippi River, and that model basin still stands today right next door at a public park called Budds Park. So, yeah, Clinton, Mississippi, small, quiet little town, but it does have its cool secrets. But anyway, today, Choctaw Trails serves a different purpose, and that is to host the 2021 Gulf South Cross Country Championships. And as we can see, that is the 2-mile mark right there where they're coming through. And Noble has decided that it's time to shut it down. So he is taking the lead, probably got like a 50-meter gap. I see Jay Day in second trying to close that gap. And then from third on, that's the team race right there.
You see several Huntsville runners inside that top 10. Christian Noble leading this one. We actually just had that championship Lee cross-country team run by us, waiting to meet their teammates on the men's side over here.
Look at that, Noble smiling, giving the camera a thumbs up. He's having fun out there. He's trying to get his 3rd straight, or is it 4th straight?
It would be his 4th championship that he has won, and really starting to pull away. Jay Day right there in second place, the redshirt senior out of Mobile, Alabama. He's won one of these before.
There's Alan Anderson, Silas Eckenrode going with him. Yeah, that's literally all the runners to watch right there. There's UAH's pack. There's MC's pack going along with them. I believe the top 20 is already passed.
Certainly going to be an exciting race as these two teams, really multiple teams, very tightly packed at the top, which could make that top 5 finishes for each squad very interesting. And maybe you could see a team like Huntsville pick up their 3rd straight, or maybe Lee sneaks in there, or maybe Mississippi College can push a couple of runners up and make things interesting. So really nothing decided at this point. Christian Noble though way out in front.
Yeah, still got a lot of running left. But yeah, talking about Lee and UAH, every time that Lee has stepped on the line, UAH has been right there with them. With that head-to-head matchup, Lee has won that one. Lee won twice. UAH got him at Florida State. And at that race in Florida State when UAH won, that was actually kind of a race that Noble had an off day. So Noble having a good race definitely plays a success in their team success. And right now it looks like he's having a good race. So I'm sure Lee will see that and be motivated. I mean, they're doing the same training that he's done. So if they see that, they're like, hey, no reason why I shouldn't run good today as well.
3 teams entering this race ranked inside the top 17 in the country. Mississippi College down at 17. Alabama Huntsville was at 12. Lee ranked at number 8 coming into this race. But there's some other runners in here, too, that aren't on ranked teams. I look at Joseph Leventree from Montevallo, who's having a great race here early on. He's had success second last year in these Gulf South Conference championships. So oftentimes, as we mentioned, the teams at the top, it's because they have a solid 1 through 5. But you'll also see some very talented runners on each one of these squads.
Right. Yeah, like I said, kind of like Celine Ritter, it's not like Noble is just carrying the team. Lee definitely has some other strong runners along with Noble.
Believe we're getting set to pick up the 5-kilometer split in a few minutes.
Right. So they're running, like I said, what we talked about in that girls' race. They're currently running that 400-meter hill, and with the course being 8K today, they're going to run that hill twice. So that's going to play a big part in the team races. So, like I said, they're running that hill 1 of 2 times. They're making the big 3K loop right now. We've probably got about 2.5 minutes till the 5K split, and we'll get a better understanding of where the team scores are then.
We've talked a lot about tactics in these races, and obviously you've seen Christian Noble's tactic here early on. Get out in front, hopefully stay out in front. But especially those runners in that, maybe 5 through 30 range. If you're running in a pack right there, what are you starting to think about now once you get closer and closer to this 5K mark, more than midway through this race?
Right, so it really just depends on how you went out per se. Like I said, if you were if you were one of the teams that were to go out hard and be like, all right, come get me, then you really just got to hold on. And if you took a more conservative approach, then now you got to start thinking like, all right, guys, like they're starting to get tired. Like I know we're tired, but they're tired too. And maybe like a spot like the 400-meter hill, that's whenever you want to kind of start, hawking those guys down and working together.
That was Trenton Jackson crossing the screen. Jackson, a freshman out of Bonaire, Georgia. Good, solid chance at that. Really, it's been the top 3 teams that we talked about, Mississippi College, Alabama, Huntsville, and Lee, that have run away. Montevallo in 4th. Their leading runner, Leventree, up in the 5th spot.
So there's Noble coming around with about 1 mile to go on the cameras right here. He's having fun. He's hyping the crowd up. Look at him. He's just having fun out there, folks.
Running a great race is Christian Noble.
Giving a thumbs up to the crowd.
Having a lot of fun. He was up by over 30 seconds at the split.
So there's the chase pack.
And I think it's gotten a little longer. And Alabama Huntsville, 3 runners in that chase pack.
Man, yeah, that helps out a lot.
And then a 4th and a 5th right behind there.
Yeah.
So Alabama Huntsville looking very strong at this moment. We see a runner from Auburn Montgomery in there, Mississippi College, a runner up there. Lee
Christian Brothers, number 1, hanging on to that chase pack.
Lee only with 1 runner up there currently. There's a Montevallo runner coming through.
And don't let it fool you, folks. I mean, they're running fast. I know it might look like they're running a little bit slower just because Noble's that good, but that chase pack is also running really, really quick. So there's Mississippi College's pack.
And that's certainly important for the Choctaws. And at this moment, if you're starting to look at this, Mississippi College may have pulled into 2nd place at this point. They've put a lot of runners high up the pack. That would probably be the 6th or 7th runner for Alabama Huntsville across the screen to this point.
Right, yeah, they had a lot of guys up front.
So we will certainly see the last 3K in these 8Ks is certainly where teams start to make their move. Christian Noble made his individual move very early on. He's run away from the pack.
And that's the 400-meter hill right there. So whenever he gets to the top of that, he'll have 1 kilometer to go.
He's making it look easy out there. Alabama Huntsville, though, certainly looking strong as a team, trying to deny Lee of winning both championships here today.
Yeah, he's doing what he can for his team, but, man, UH had a lot of guys in that pack. I mean, and it looks like they had some real estate as well. Their 6 and 7 were up there helping them out as well. So even if 1 or 2 of their 5 fell off, they'd still have their 6 and 7 there to back them up.
A very fast-paced race here so far today. As Chris said, don't let it fool you. These runners running a lot faster than most of us can. A very fast-paced race, and it was really that move by Noble and UAH up front that has really helped spread out this pack really through those first 3 to 4K. We saw them really bunched up, but then Noble broke away. UAH really started to push the pace, and you've really seen that pack that was tightly bound has completely dissipated at this point.
Yeah, like I said, I know the lead cart cams might be going through technical difficulties, but it looks like when Noble made that move, I mean, they just decided to kind of go with them as a team, and like I said, they're kind of controlling that chase pack up front right now, and it's paying off for them big time.
A couple of Choctaw runners crossing the screen here. Another camera angle. There's another Alabama Huntsville
That's
runner.
that 400-meter hill we're talking about. I mean, you can tell they are, man, the look on their faces.
That was Gabe Hennenberger, the Gulf South Conference Freshman of the Year a year ago. Struggling, though, looking a bit tired as we see the finish line.
That's the finish line right there.
Runners starting to make their way up to the finish. We should be able to crown a champion in just a few moments. Getting
we probably got
close.
about 2 more minutes left of running for Christian Noble.
As these teams continue this race, it was kind of warm at the start of this race about 20 minutes ago, but a good breeze since, and it started to cool down, and that certainly has to help the running conditions. Some players, though, this is a very hilly course in some areas and can really cause some people to struggle out there. Union and Valdosta State, UWF with a couple of runners crossing the screen. We're probably about a minute away from crowning our individual champion in the Gulf South Conference. Christian Noble, at last check, had run away from the pack, expecting him to make history today, becoming the first four-time champion in the Gulf South Conference. He's been having a lot of fun out on the course.
He sure has been. I would imagine.
Smiling, thumbs up, all sorts of excitement for Noble.
Oh, yeah, he's having fun out there. I would imagine he's probably about 400 meters away from finishing, so hopefully we can get a camera on that finish line.
Those were the 5K or the 3K splits, I beg your pardon, and it was very close. Actually, 2K splits. It was very close.
Right, we see the lead cart, so I would imagine Christian Noble. Yeah, I can see him down at the hill right there.
As we mentioned in the women's race, that final hill up to the finish line, a cruel hill for those runners who've run extremely hard. Christian Noble.
And we might see another course record go down. The course record is 23:51, and he is literally 10 seconds away from getting that.
Very close. Noble has run a phenomenal race, trying to cross the finish line. All that is in question is if it'll be a course record. It won't be.
But
Christian
still
Noble,
a great race from him overall.
Phenomenal race, and now you see UAH starting to pick up some runners.
Holding up the 4. That's his 4th title that he's won.
Christian Noble, a legend in the Gulf South Conference. He wins his 4th championship, and now it all comes down to who is going to win the team final. UAH in the driver's seat at this moment. Yet to see who's pushing across the finish line.
Oh, wow, that's Silas Eckenrode. So Lee going 1-2. That's going to be big for Lee.
Certainly could make things interesting. There's Jay Day
in 3rd, Gabe Poulin in 4th, Joe Leventree, 349 1,500-meter runner in 5th.
UAH, though, there's their 2nd
Alan
and 3rd
Anderson,
runners.
Jacob Bishop, the steepler, in 7th. Or 8th, excuse me.
Lee currently in the lead.
That's going to be it for UH, folks. I mean, that's their 5 coming through right there.
And there's their 6th, and then there's Lee. So Lee looking in a good spot to take over 2nd place. But Mississippi College putting a couple runners high up the pack.
Yeah, there goes Cole Benoit. Some more Lee and UH runners. Evan Del Rio, Titus Legat, the 3rd place finisher in the 800 at D2 Outdoor Nationals.
A phenomenal race, and the results are in. Alabama Huntsville will be the 3-time defending champions. Jay Day placing 3rd, Alan Anderson in 7th, Jacob Bishop in 8th. They place 4 runners inside the top 10. Make it 5 if you count San Wilhelm at 10. They'll place 6 runners in all inside the top 20. Lee University will finish 2nd. Mississippi College now their 5th runner crosses. Hunter Kurz, the 23rd runner, they'll finish 3rd. Montevallo looking like they might finish 2nd in this race, but let's talk about Alabama Huntsville. They run a great team race out there. Noble gets his award today, winning again for the 4th time, but Alabama Huntsville, a phenomenal team race. They pick up their 3rd straight Gulf South Conference title.
Yeah, right. That's kind of their strength, is what we saw here today, is just their pack running. I mean, like I said, whenever a team goes 1-2, that's hard to beat, but UH found a way to do it, and they put 5 in the top 10.
Gabe Henneberger, the 2020 Gulf South Conference Freshman of the Year, crosses the line. Faces of agony as they got the reward after running nearly 8 kilometers of going up a steep hill at the finish line.
Yeah, that is a brutal hill to finish on right there.
Incredibly close at the top here. Lee University falling to Alabama Huntsville by just 10 points. That's just a couple of positions difference. Montevallo, they've put 4 runners across, led by Leventree, who finished 5th. 91 points. They're trying to finish in that 4th spot. Christian Brothers having a good race. They put 3 across the finish line inside the top 41. There's another Christian Brothers runner crossing now. All comes down to who those fourth and fifth runners are. Christian Brothers placing their fourth very tight with Montevallo at this point. Montevallo has just secured fourth place. Auburn Montgomery now into fifth. They jump ahead of Christian Brothers, and that's where that fifth runner makes so much difference. A great job there by AUM to jump in front of Christian Brothers, who's still awaiting their fifth runner.
Yeah, so it looks like the national rankings on the South Region part of the side is going to get switched up again as Alabama Huntsville took down Lee, which makes their record go 2-2. So, yeah, currently Lee is number 8 and Alabama Huntsville is number 12. So, but, yeah, it looks like that's going to switch up next week as Alabama Huntsville took the conference title for the third time in a row this year.
A very good
not
race.
This year, in the last 3 years.
A great race from these squads so far. UAH, they've placed 10 runners inside the top 33. Lee placing 9 runners inside the top 26. So a lot of Lee and Alabama Huntsville runners crossing the line. A dominant performance from those two squads, but give Mississippi College a lot of credit. They had a really good race. Gabe Poulin finishing 4th. Cole Benoit in 12th. Evan Del Rio 15th. Those three will place inside the Gulf South Conference teams. Christian Balser will as well. You see the last kicks from these runners as they get set to cross the finish line.
Yeah, and Lee put their whole entire scoring 7 inside the top 20. So just for you to make it to the top 7, I mean, you got to be an all-conference runner. And you would think that'd be good enough to take the conference title, but like we're talking about today, UAH is just incredible at pack running. They've definitely figured that tactic out really well.
And for UAH, it was their ability to place so many runners inside the top 10 that would make the difference here today. Lee, they did place their top 7 inside the top 20, but Alabama Huntsville placing 5 of their top 7 inside that top 10, and that's going to be tough to beat on almost any day.
Right. And like I said, Alabama Huntsville, I mean, they have a lot of steeplers, 5K, 10K runners on their team. So I would imagine whenever they move up to the 10K distance, I mean, that's going to just be even better for them. That's going to be, their kind of office as they move up from 8K to 10K onto regionals.
The Chargers of Alabama, Huntsville, and Lee combining for 7 of the top 10 finishers at this race today. A dominating performance from those two squads, and we expected it today. They came in both ranked highly, but Alabama Huntsville perhaps coming in a little bit as the underdog despite having won the last 2, able to pull off a defeat of Lee University in this one, but it was Christian Noble who ultimately got what he was looking for today, that individual title, and Lee University running a good race.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's been some talk that Christian Noble might not be the favorite for the cross-country national title, but he kind of put that talk to rest today. 23:56, second all-time AK on this course. And, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, he was waving to the fans, giving them the thumbs up. It looked easy out there for him.
The most interesting part for Lee was the ability of Silas Eckenrode to slide into that second spot just in front of Jay Day, but it wouldn't be enough here today. Shorter, a couple of runners getting set to make their way towards the finish line. We see that cart signifying those would be the last 2 runners out on the course here today. So Shorter, the last 2 runners at this point. A very good race run by all of these teams today. That's Matthew Brown on the screen, the freshman out of Covington, Georgia. Now for UWF, a runner, Andrew White, the sophomore out of Columbus, Georgia. Let's take a look at a couple more of those team scores. We've mentioned Huntsville and Lee.
I know we still got a couple of runners still out there in the course, but for the most part, the team scores have been decided.
Montevallo, they'll finish 4th here today, 135 points. Their best finisher, Joseph Leventree. Joseph Petard finishing just outside that top 20 at 21. Christian Brothers got 6 runners across inside the top 80 to finish 5th. Valdosta State at 6th. Auburn Montgomery slipping down to 7th. West Florida has now crossed. They'll finish 8th today. Union in 9th. They placed all of their runners inside the top 100. West Georgia in 10th. West Alabama in 11th. And Shorter, they've had just 1 runner cross at this point. They'll finish 12th today.
Right, and just looking at these individual results on this guy's side, I mean, it is crazy how deep this race was. I mean, just to get top 5, that was Joseph Leventree. He's a 3:49 1,500-meter runner, and he got second here last year. And Yeah, 7th, Alan Anderson. He was a top finisher at Nationals for the GSC in 2019. I mean, just crazy how many studs in this race there were today. Just to make it to top 20 in 20th spot, which was the last spot to claim that all-conference position. I mean, you literally had to run 5 flat for 5 miles straight on a windy, hot, hard course. So, yeah, crazy the talent in this field today.
Burkett Mercili finishing 6th for Christian Brothers. A good finish for him, 24-29-71. He was the highest individual finisher for Christian Brothers at that UAH invite earlier this month, finishing 22nd. So a good showing here today for him. Alan Anderson, Jacob Bishop, 7, 8, and Harold LaCroix in 9th. Alabama Huntsville would go 7, 8, 9, 10, in addition to Jay Day in 3rd. That's how you finish a race there.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's whenever they finished the year last year ranked 2nd, there wasn't a national meet. So that was their best prediction of how they would rank. But that was kind of their strength last year as well, with J-Day being their low stick. And then their 2 through 5, 2 through 7 on some days, just running a tight pack and doing it fast too.
A really nice showing by Zach Fenton for West Florida as well. He finishes at 24-46-31. He was a one-time Gulf South Conference Freshman of the Week award winner this year. He takes 11th.
I believe Sam Wilhelm might be Freshman of the Year, actually. It's going to be between those two. But I think Sam Wilhelm. I don't recognize that name, so I think he might be a freshman. So he might have snagged the GSC Freshman of the Year with that 10th place finish as well.
He did. Sam Wilhelm will be the GSC Freshman of the Year, the freshman out of Knob Noster, Missouri, finishing 10th here today. Caleb Eagleson finishing in 13th. And then Evan Del Rio down in that 15 spot. He was a very talented runner, someone we were looking out for in this one. He was a first-team honoree a year ago. He will get second team.
Right, and like I said, continuing on how deep that field is, I mean, Caleb Eagleson and Evan Del Rio, I mean, they're both conference champions. And that's just, like I said, it's not that they necessarily had a bad day today. It's crazy how deep this field was.
Nice job by Cole Benoit, a teammate of yours, who had a nice kick at the end. He jumped up 14 places from that 5K marker, so a good kick towards the end.
Right, yeah,
to get
I've
high
seen
up
that
there.
kick many a times at practice.
I believe it.
So.
Benoit jumping up 14 spots after that 5K marker, the second biggest leap, and behind his teammate Evan Del Rio. So Mississippi College, they did a nice job of closing in this one and locking in that 3 seed, and that was certainly important for them.
Right, yeah. I mean, just knowing them, I know that they definitely had the conference title on their minds today. So I know they might be a little disappointed, but like I said, deep race today, and they can't be mad at what they did today. I mean, 4 in the top 20, that's still a good day from them.
Jacob Bishop, he was 4th at that 5K split, drops down to 8th. So a very good race today from these squads, a very deep race. And certainly all that we have left to do today is to hand out some awards as we get set to wrap up what has been a phenomenal day inside the Gulf South Conference. A lot of good times. These runners have run really well, and we expected a good race, a fast race out here on this course, and we got just that today, Chris.
Yeah, and really what's crazy is how fast they ran on the back half of that, because like we saw, it went out a little tactical. So that just shows how fast they're running towards the back 4K, 5K of this already hard course.
Alabama Huntsville winning the men's race. Lee University, they won the women's race today. A couple of runners still getting set to finish in this one, I believe, for shorter. They were still awaiting a couple of runners to cross the finish line. 3 of their 5 have. Denzel Bell finished 95th. Dalton Sprayberry in 97th. And Bryant Blandon at 98. 35 minutes into this one, the remaining runners set to cross the finish line. And then there'll be a period of about 15 minutes where coaches can challenge times and scores ultimately, but there won't be a ton of difference on this one. Everything looked pretty cut and dry from our perspective. Alabama Huntsville, even if something were to happen, they had plenty of runners, those 6 and 7 runners that ran very well today.
Right, these are unofficial team scores, but they're basically official, and it looks like Alabama Huntsville took it today for the 3rd year in a row.
The awards that will be handed out, we'll hand out Freshman of the Year as well as Coach of the Year. That one voted on by the various coaches, but then you'll see those all-team awards, that first and second team honors. Those will both be given to the top 20 finishers. Top 10 will be first-team honorees, and then 10 or 11 through 20 will be on the second team. The top finishing freshman, which we believe was Sam Wilhelm, for Alabama Huntsville will be given Freshman of the Year. Christian Noble and his teammate Celine Ritter for Lee, each winning the individual titles today, and those two have combined for 7 individual titles. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is, and I'm sure that they're going to have a lot of momentum heading into the regional national meets as well.
Those two teams, really several teams, will advance to those NCAA regionals in just a few short weeks. They'll jump up, correct me if I'm wrong, but the women jump up to 6,000 meters,
yes,
and
sir.
then will the men continue to run the 8K?
They go from 8K to 10K at regionals. So, yeah, if they thought 8K was hard, then they got another mile to run in a couple of weeks. In Florida, which is actually they'll be in Tampa, Florida for regional, which is actually the same site and venue as the national race. So they'll be able to get some practice in 2 weeks before the national meet as well.
Perhaps a little bit warmer down there, and we saw it. It's starting to warm up before this race had started today, but how much does the heat change a race?
I'll tell you what, it changed it a lot, especially in a distance like the 10K. Yeah, you just can't go as hard as you would like to, and that's something that's going to be kind of interesting. Is whenever a lot of teams out west, like Colorado Mines per se, whenever they come down to Florida, they've been running altitude, but it's going to be interesting to see how they fare against the heat and humidity like Florida.
Definitely a lot that plays into that. Shorter University, their runner making his way up towards the finish line. Shorter will finish down towards the bottom. That's Octavius Buchanan making his way up. One last kick as he looks to get across the finish line for Shorter. The team scores will be complete once he crosses the finish line. He'll be the 5th finisher. Shorter will finish 12th here today. A good race all the way around, really, on the men's and the women's side, as we have now completed our team scoring. I believe 1, maybe 2 runners still out on the course. I think this is our last runner that is set to cross the finish line. That one, Matthew Brown, the freshman out of Covington, Georgia, set to cross the finish line after a long 8 kilometers of running here today. That the last runner to cross just after the 39 mark. Christian Noble winning this one today. He picks up his 4th Gulf South Conference title. Ritter for Lee winning the women's race. And we're going to step away now for just a few moments, and when we come back, we'll have the awards ceremony live for you here on Flow Sports. A great race today from these squads. Alabama Huntsville victorious on the men's side, Lee University on the women, but the top 2 finishers on the women's and the men's side each from Lee University. We'll step away, and when we come back, we'll have the awards here to wrap up what has been a phenomenal day of cross country here in Clinton, Mississippi.
53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.
'53 national championships.
More than 600 annual graduates. Thousands of lives changed. The Gulf South Conference.